The first coronavirus death in the U.S. right here in the Pacific Northwest.
We know we can't stop it. It's here, and it's going to be here.
And now U.S. officials are stepping in.
We are seeing more cases. We will see more cases.
But what are the risks, and what can you do to stay protected?
Your concerns are valid, and that we are listening to them.
KATU News is on your side, digging deeper into the coronavirus outbreak and what you need to know.
From KATU News, this is Breaking News.
More on the coronavirus in just a moment, but first, breaking news tonight. A serious crash has closed down the intersection of Northeast 42nd and Halsey in all directions. We are still waiting to hear back from police to get the details on this crash. We'll be sure to bring you the latest updates on air and online. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Catherine Kissel. While health officials address the first coronavirus death in Washington state and Oregon's first coronavirus diagnosis, a couple from Forest Grove is still stuck in Japan. It's been weeks since their vacation ended because of the virus. Now, at first, only Rebecca Frazier tested positive for the virus, but now her husband Kent is also in a Japanese hospital. KATU's Allison Mechanic spoke to him through Skype today. And Allison, how is he doing?
Kent has a mild fever, which is why he had to go to a Japanese hospital. He's being tested for the coronavirus, but he won't know for a few days if he has it or not. Back here in Oregon, though, we know that one person does. They're being treated right here behind me at Kaiser Westside Medical Center. Kent tells us he's not surprised that someone's been infected here, but he says that's no reason for anyone to worry.
Hello.
Clackamas County Public Health addressed the coronavirus here in Oregon, but says it's too soon to know all the virus's risks. The one thing they do know?
It is not as infectious as measles. It is looking to be more like influenza.
While it's new here in Oregon, Kent Frazier of Forest Grove has been dealing with the impacts of the virus for weeks. He and his wife Rebecca were quarantined on their cruise ship off the coast of Japan until Rebecca tested positive for the virus. She's been in the hospital ever since. Now, weeks later, Kent is in one too.
So I'm in an infectious disease ward, completely isolated. When nurses and doctors come in, they're wearing a bunch of protective gear and things.
Kent was brought to the hospital with a mild fever. He shared these videos with KATU of his trip there. Now he's waiting to see if he too has the virus.
You just feel like a punching bag, and just you don't really know what's going to happen next.
The unknown has been the couple's reality for weeks. It's what they say is the hardest part, especially because they both don't feel sick.
The vast majority of people feel just fine, no sort of symptoms at all. So yeah, there's that comfort.
He hopes this is a comfort for people now that the virus is in the Pacific Northwest. Health officials just want people to know that just because it's here doesn't mean they're in danger.
It takes some prolonged period of time with somebody who is ill and close contact in order to contract the disease from them.
Kent will hopefully know in a few days where he stands with his coronavirus test. As for Rebecca, she won't know for a few more days, and she has to have 2 negative tests before she can leave the hospital. In Hillsborough, Allison Mechanic, KATU News.
All right, Allison, thank you. It's all hands on deck to clean Forest Hills Elementary in Lake Oswego. Oregon health officials announced last night a school employee tested positive for coronavirus. This is the first case in Oregon. An industrial cleaning company spent today evaluating the best ways to deep clean the school, and they also plan to sanitize all schools and school buses. In the meantime, some employees are under a 2-week quarantine.
Some other employees did visit this employee in the hospital, and they are have been asked to stay at home as well and seek medical advice and guidance.
Forest Hills Elementary plans to reopen Thursday. That gives a 14-day grace period since the infected employee last visited that campus on February 19th. Now that the U.S. has its first coronavirus death, President Trump is announcing new travel restrictions from Iran and a heightened advisory for Italy and South Korea. He says he'll also meet with pharmaceutical leaders on Monday to discuss working on a vaccine.
Additional cases in the United States are likely, but healthy individuals should be able to fully recover, and we think that will be a statement that we can make with great surety now that we've gotten familiar with this problem. They should be able to recover should they contract the virus. So healthy people, if you're healthy, you will probably go through a process and you'll be fine.
The president is clarifying his previous comment that coronavirus was a hoax from the Democrats. He says the party's criticism of how he's handled it is what he meant. Meanwhile, the FDA has a new policy for coronavirus testing. The agency will now allow legitimate accredited labs to start using their own testing procedure without specific approval. The labs just have to submit their procedure to the FDA for evaluation in the future. This is all part of the FDA's aggressive commitment to address the outbreak. And health experts around the world are working to put a stop to the virus. A top doctor in Israel is revealing an innovative effort to develop a vaccine. Here's Lindsay Mastis.
We have to take this very seriously.
Dr. Eyal Zimlichman says at Sheba Medical Center, they're using innovative technology to predict when people will start showing symptoms.
We have 4 patients symptomatic at our confinement area.
He says they're monitoring another 10.
They've been exposed. They're high risk. We're following them. We're checking them all the time.
Dr. Zimlichman says they've also brought together companies focusing on creating a vaccine and doing it quickly.
Hopefully, it's a matter of a few months before we get something that can go out for regulations. And hopefully the FDA and other regulatory bodies will be quick to adopt this and really allow this to go into the market if it's safe enough.
While he'd like to see a vaccine hit the market in just 6 months, he says it could take a year because of all the necessary regulatory hurdles. Until then, he urges everyone to do their part, including people that are healthy and could easily recover from coronavirus.
We have responsibility for the elders. We have responsibilities for the sick in our community, because if we contract the virus, we can pass it along.
He believes people need to be overly cautious.
I think a much more critical precaution is putting on gloves even, or sanitizing your hands every 15-20 minutes if you're out.
Lindsay Mastis, Washington, D.C.
Doctors do say the best way to protect yourself is wash and sanitize your hands as much as possible. However, prices are jumping, maybe making that a little more difficult. Face masks are flying off store shelves. On Amazon, most products are already sold out or are selling out quickly. Our sister station in Seattle is reporting a 6-pack of Purell hand sanitizer was listed at just under $100. There are at least 71 confirmed or presumptive positive coronavirus cases in the U.S., including one here in Oregon. Out of 86,000 cases worldwide, 3% of those diagnosed have died. Coronavirus is a respiratory illness that can be either mild or severe. People can develop a cough, a fever, and have a hard time breathing. Again, doctors say wash your hands, cover your mouth when you cough or sneeze, and stay home if you feel sick. You can stay with KATU as we continue to cover the coronavirus. You can find all the latest information on air and online.